Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mindsec's webinar, PCI MPoC Standards, all the key highlights. My name is Ala Khamis, and I'm handling the business expansions of Mindsec in the Middle East and Africa, and maximizing our client space and introducing our latest technology to the market. In today's webinar, we have Mr. John Locke. He's the Chief Operation Officer of Mindsec, to share with us all the key highlights from the newest PCI security standards and the PCI MPoC standards, and its impact on the SoftPOS innovation and requirements on certification. We will be taking questions at end of the webinar presentation, so please go ahead and send your questions by typing in the questions and answers tab on the webinar interface. We will be answering as much questions as we can, and the ones that will not be answered, we will have it answered and shared with you via email. Also, we will have this webinar recorded and will be made available on our website. Now we will go through a brief introduction on our company, MineSec. Since we are living in a very dynamic era where people prefer to perform their daily transaction in a quicker way using a contactless mode, we can see that the governments are not paying much attention to the small and medium enterprises to a certain extent, and is not included in the financial inclusion, or not paying attention to in the financial inclusion. The idea of starting our company, MineSec, was initiated back in 2020 by the founders to provide a state-of-the-art solution that meets the need of individuals and SMEs in a very cost-effective and secure way. MineSec is fully aware that the SMEs and SMBs are considered the largest merchant base in all markets. Therefore, we provide the different merchant categories with a full-fledged solution where they will be able to accept payments by only downloading our application and enjoying the rest, the supporting services that we offer, such as the merchant onboarding portals, the terminal management system, and the cloud attestation and monitoring services, and the other services that we provide. All the above process are done online with no need for investment in hardware, in terminals or field services for deployment and maintenance. Our technology is currently in operation by various categories of merchants and service providers serving different markets and complying with a wide range of regulations around the globe. So in a nutshell, and after 3 years of continuous development and enhancement, MineSec is classified as one of the few technology service providers with a SoftPOS solution licensed by all the payment schemes like Visa, MasterCard, UnionPay, JCB, MX, Discover, and the others. So this is a brief introduction on our company, MineSec. Now I will hand it over to Mr. John Locke to take us through today's webinar main topic and the key highlights. So John Locke, you can proceed.
Thank you very much, Hala, for your introduction. Hello, everybody. Good morning and good afternoon. I would like to take over the presentation today. Of course, the objective of the presentation today is to talk about MPoC standards. I will start with to do a short introduction about the ecosystem so that it gives a bit of context about the SoftPOS solutions that we are talking about today. So first of all, of course, when we talk about SoftPOS, we need to understand the comparison between software point of sale and traditional point of sales. Today, traditional point of sale is being used in all merchants, big and small. Of course, some of the small merchants has probably more challenges to access to these traditional point of sales. But one of the things that needs to be understood first, in order to compare with SoftPOS, is that the traditional point of sale has some specific requirements in terms of certifications for hardware and software. Most of the time, they are bespoke designs, and also with pin entry, they have a specific tamper resistance design as well to protect against attacks on the point of sales. As such, people, merchants and consumer trust the use of a point of sales terminal, and this is thanks to the standards effectively, which I will explain a little bit later on. One of the challenge of traditional point of sales for sure is that because it's bespoke and has some hardware components, it needs a specific requirement in terms of design, and it makes the design very static and little not so much evolutive, especially when it's deployed, and the maintenance, the deployment, the upgrade is more complicated compared to today innovative solutions like software point of sales. So software point of sales, we see that this is mainly a technology-driven, software-based technology, where the purpose of it is to use a COTS device, commercially off-the-shelf device, on which you can download a very secure point of sale software that enable the commercially off-the-shelf smartphone to become actually a point of sales. This, of course, bring a lot of benefits to the market, such as a fast time to market for deployment, easy maintenance, easy integration, easy deployment, and also based on the fact that it's a software-based technology, it's very simple to monitor the security via a SaaS platform. Of course, the solution is driven by technology, but for the technology to work, you need to have a proper use cases. And these use cases, over the few years of pilot and deployment and rollout up to today, we can see many use cases that has been used for small and medium businesses, as explained by Ala early on. And here on this slide, you can see few examples of these use cases, like taxi in some countries in Asia, where now it's possible to accept contactless payment in taxi thanks to SoftPOS technologies, but also cash on delivery services. Instead of paying with cash, you can use SoftPOS technology, and that has been deployed thanks to e-commerce business. Others, I would not go to all of them, but you can see on the screen one of the one that could be one of the key drivers of SoftPOS deployment also is what we call pop-up store weekend market. So during specific event where you need to scale up and scale down the merchant acceptance points, this is where SoftPOS bring a huge value to the merchants, because you just don't need to download basically a SoftPOS app on your phone instead of acquiring a hardware terminal and maintaining. So the cost of deployment is very optimized thanks to SoftPOS. However, although we talk about SoftPOS being used by small and medium service businesses, we actually see more and more based on standard actually and global deployment, the opportunity for SoftPOS to be used by large and global franchises. This is because all these big merchants, they need also to make the best use of their retail space and enable payments of their customers anywhere in the retail shops. So this will increase also as a benefit the intimacy and grow the value of assisted sales to customer. So by definition, if you help your customer if you support your customer in their buying process, this create a great user experience, consumer experience, and also of course a greater income for the merchants. So and finally the line busting, fast checkout experience for sure, having the option to use a SoftPOS technology. But SoftPOS is not only about payments. So actually SoftPOS is becoming already a kind of super app with, of course, naturally opportunity to integrate multiple different kind of payment instruments. So we started, of course, with a pay by card, so contactless payment on the COTS devices thanks to SoftPOS. But naturally, it has become more and more used with a pay by link, pay by QR code, pay by account, and now for merchants to get additional value-added services. They can use now digital KYC or KYB services from merchants thanks to the SoftPOS solutions that are being deployed. So these are new use cases that have been deployed and being trialed, but we are confident that these are the opportunity for the market to evolve in the new space of merchant acquiring services and merchant to be able to attract more of their customers in the better way. So now I switch gear. I go to now the more important part of this presentation, which is basically the SoftPOS standard and what it means for you if you design or if you deploy SoftPOS solutions. So we start with the standards, right? So this is a bit of timeline on what are the standards that are regulating point of sales solutions that are being deployed in the market. I started to talk early on about traditional point of sales. So of course, the trust of use of traditional point of sales comes thanks to the standards and the deployment of PCI PTS compliant point of sales devices. So that has been for multiple decades already in the market, continue to be maintained by PCI, allowing the use of these devices in the way that all consumers and merchants trust that there is as little fraud as possible on these devices. But of course, with innovation coming, several schemes back in 2017 are starting to piloting and try to use mobile devices, and especially with the acceptance, the use of mobile phone in any kind of use cases. In 2017 they started the so-called tap to phone or tap on phone, different naming conversion by the schemes for the use of a software point of sales on mobile phone. So this is called tap to phone or tap on phone pilot program, has been trialed for multiple years, still in progress. The reason of a pilot program is that there is opportunity to limit the risk of deployment and having a streamlined certification and testing requirements to put the products on the market to try and get the market feedback very quickly. After the tap to phone pilot program has been launched, PCI has started to look at globalizing the software certification requirements on the PCI scope, right? So when PCI take on board this kind of a requirement, it means that it is for global deployment without limitation. So PCI has come up with a SPOC, software-based PIN on COTS. This is basically a first step to mobile payment acceptance, but still in these standards, the PIN entry, the card reader is still based on the small smart card reader. So there's still a need for the MPoC. So what we call MPoC, a smart card, a small hardware that will be connected by different ways to the mobile phone where the app will be running. For regulation purposes, also in some key markets, contactless payment and payment needs to be validated, authenticated with PIN. So because of this, the tap to phone program evolved into tap to phone plus PIN, which basically allow the PIN entry in the phone. So same thing as I explained early on, Visa, MasterCard, and Amex, and a few schemes has been piloting this tap to phone plus PIN program. We sometimes call it PIN on glass, to allow contactless payment. And when the threshold is hit, the consumer will have to enter the PIN on the phone. So it's called PIN on glass as well. As the SoftPOS technology has been deployed, again, PCI has taken over the standards and has come up with the PCI CPoC, contactless payment on COTS standard. This was a very clear milestone for 100% software-based point of sale deployment globally. And since the deployment in 2020, it has been a huge hype in the industry to go to deploy and promote the SoftPOS solutions in the market. So over the last 3 years, the technology has matured, the use case has matured as well, and more and more service providers, merchants are now planning or deploying and planning to launch in this scale. However, CPoC standard only support contactless payment without PIN, and this is one of the challenges and of some of the deployment in some countries. And for these reasons, PCI came up with end of last year, based on quite a number of feedback from stakeholders, major stakeholders in the industry, with a new standard called MPoC, mobile payment on COTS. This consolidated all the requirements that the market is looking for, and also integrating the PIN acceptance on the phone, with also the opportunity to do the global deployment. So what does it mean once this standard has been deployed? It means also that the tap to phone and tap on phone pilot program that has been defined, that define the security requirement of the tap to phone specifications is going to phase out from a security standpoint. Right, so all the schemes are now looking at the phasing out tap to phone pilot program to mandate the use of MPoC standard by 2024. That is more or less the timeline that we're looking for. CPoC and SPoC standard by PCI is still active, so there is no sunset date defined by PCI around CPoC and MPoC, and most of the schemes are looking at maintaining it, except one scheme which is probably considering it for phasing out sometime next year. So moving now toward the detail of the MPoC specifications. So as I explained, MPoC take into account the knowledge, the use case, the requirement from the industry over the last, I would say, 4 or 5 years of deployment of SoftPOS solutions. There are two main key requirements I will summarize here. One of which is the modularity approach of MPoC standards, meaning that there is opportunity to certify part of the SoftPOS solutions. What does it mean? It means that if you look at the PCI CPoC or PCI SPoC standards, as of today, even PCI PTS, all these standards are focusing only on the final solutions. Right, so to have a deployment of a SoftPOS solution that is certified, you only can certify the whole solution itself, which makes sense, but it also creates constraints from the different suppliers and different stakeholders in the market. So MPoC has brought this opportunity to have a module certification, so they call it scope, which I will explain later on. And also by doing this, they have created different domains, which I will explain also. And the second point is that the requirement has moved from a specific requirement in terms of features to be implemented in the solutions to an objective-based security requirements, meaning that it doesn't matter so much what are the technology you use to support the security, as long as the overall security and the overall features and function that you implement into your solution meet the minimum security requirements set by the standards. Now, moving toward a quick explanation on the domains, because it's quite important to understand why these domains, and they create the module, how the module of the MPoC standards. First of all, because SoftPOS is 100% software based, right? It means that the domain one, the core domain of the core requirements of the standard, has to cover everything related to the software itself. So the SDK, the attestation and monitoring, the kernel. So the kernel are the function that are used in the SoftPOS to accept payment, contactless payment, the PIN, offline PIN, but also the security guidelines, meaning that especially if you have a modular approach, you need to make sure that the part of your software that is used by another party has received the security guidelines on how they do the integrations. So that's the domain one. Domain two is all about the integration. So basically, because of the modular approach, you have to have integration requirements to make sure that if you take indeed a pre-certified SoftPOS software, for instance, you apply in domain two, you validate that you apply the security requirement, the security guidance, and you correctly do the integration of your software. Domain three is something that is somehow new, or more specific for MPoC compared to CPoC and SPoC, is the attestation monitoring. So of course, it's a software-based technology. So we do maintenance and monitoring and attestation of the software and the applications. It means that the backend, although you have an attestation monitoring server, you have to operate that backend in the secure way. So this is covered by domain three. Domain four is the software maintenance. So the lifecycle maintenance of the software. Basically, it doesn't mean that you design the software, it is okay. You need to make sure that that software is maintained and is going to be updated in the proper way, in the secure way. And finally, domain four is more on the back end of the payment side of the SoftPOS solutions. So to be concrete for you, because at the end of the day, either you are a developer of SoftPOS solutions or a user of SoftPOS solutions or a service provider, a payment service provider, SoftPOS has defined different scopes, right? So if you are today a SoftPOS SDK developer, for instance, your scope is actually going to be a SoftPOS software. This means that you must have a minimum requirement in terms of supporting COTS native NFC or COTS native PIN entry. So if you support PIN entry in your device, and also some must have in terms of the SDK or application attestation component, backend function, and APIs. Why API? Because it's a software. Is a component of the overall SoftPOS solutions. So it means that you need to ensure that the interface to the external party are secure as well. So because of this, your application has to be the applicable requirement, will be domain 1 and domain 4. These are the key requirements where you have to comply with a SoftPOS MPoC standards. And domain Appendix D is also one of the key requirements, new in MPoC compared to PCI CPoC, which is basically the secure software standards. This is also one of the key new requirements to ensure that the security of the software itself. And finally, if you are not PCI DSS compliant yet on your solutions, then you have to comply with Appendix A. Otherwise, you can rely on PCI DSS. But once you have the software, you, of course, as I explained earlier on, you have to operate it. So to operate it, you need to have also the attestation and monitoring server, right? So and that you have to comply with Appendix domain 3. And this domain 3 basically allow you to have a listing as a MPoC attestation and monitoring service provider. So as a service provider to operate the attestation monitoring server. But at the end, you want to deploy the SoftPOS solution. So full SoftPOS solutions is the final products that can be used on the market. So so then your scope defined by MPoC will be SoftPOS solution, MPoC solutions. So for this, you need to have everything, no matter how you get this piece of software in your solution, you have to have everything into the final solutions, right? So there's two concepts defined by MPoC. One is the monolithic SoftPOS MPoC solutions. Basically, you design everything from scratch, you have everything incorporated, and then you go through the whole certification, basically meaning all the domain has to be applicable, all the things has to be certified from domain 1 to domain 5. But to leverage on the value of MPoC standards and to be able to manage the risk also of your certification and your integration, there is a possibility, thanks to the modular approach, to have composite evaluations. And this, basically, you use a certified MPoC software. And then in this case, you can just focus on your domain 2 and domain 5 of the MPoC requirements. Okay. So what does it mean now? It means that when you look at MineSec today, of course, MineSec is a white label SoftPOS product provider. As explained by Ala, we're here to help the industry to deploy in the most effective way SoftPOS solutions in the market and SoftPOS services in the market. So today we have mainly two products. One is we call SoftPOS technology. Is equivalent of MPoC software and attestation and monitoring services. It means that we are providing an SDK, we are providing the attestation monitoring software on the cloud and operating the attestation monitoring services for our customers. So as a SoftPOS technology provider. But Mindsec is also a SoftPOS a solution provider. So we provide what we call SoftPOS suites, which is basically the overall MPoC solutions that I explained previously. So what does it mean? So as a SoftPOS technology provider, we have designed and productized solutions, a technology, SDK, attestation monitoring services that help our customers who has already an applications, merchant applications, who already have their gateway, to just integrate our SDK to enable them to add this contactless payment function, the instrument, very easily into their merchant applications without investing and without taking too much effort in terms of integrating and going for certifications. So they integrate our SDK into their applications, integrate also, of course, with their payment gateway. And the only thing they need to do to get the MPoC certification is to go for composite evaluations with the focus on domain 2 and domain 5 of the requirements. So this will help them to save time to market, and of course effort in terms of R&D. And Mindsec also make sure that we provide all the necessary documentations and package to help the customers to do that integration. And then finally, we have that Mindsec white label software suites. So this is the turnkey all-in-one solutions with all schemes supported, which basically is MPoC ready. It means that our customers just need to integrate directly with their payment gateway or the processing host using ISO 8583 or JSON connection via our smart routing system. And on the application side, they can just either white label our applications by changing the UI interface of a Mindsec already designed white label SoftPOS applications, or they can do a very easy, if they have their own merchant application, they can easily do up-to-up call. And this makes all the integration and the deployment very simple. And it means that they leverage on the already certifications that Mindsec will be providing. And the only thing they need to do is to perform the level 3 testing for basically the end-to-end integration for their local deployment in their local market. Okay, so I hope I was clear in the explanation today. Please feel free to prepare your questions. And if there is more information needed during this presentation, we are happy to take your questions and get back to you if we don't have enough time. Thank you very much, Ala, for the introduction. I am handing over to you. the closing.
Thank you, John-Luc, very much for the introduction and for the fruitful information that you gave us. Now, I would like to summarize what John-Luc had mentioned, that we offer our services in different models that suits the requirements of each client. So we offer a white label solution, or even helping our clients to develop their own SoftPOS application if they would like to. Now we will move to the next phase, which is the questions and answers. I'll just would like to remind you that you might type your questions in the questions and answers tab, and we'll be waiting for your questions. So we have the first question for today. John-Luc, can SoftPOS work on other devices other than the codes?
Yeah, when you talk about the technologies, the way SoftPOS technology are designed, yes, it can work on anything that is a mobile based and Android based, or I mean also iOS. But the iOS today is only Apple has the control. So to answer the question, yes, it can work on other things than the codes, and sometimes purpose-built point of sales using Android operating system, for instance. But in terms of the actual standards, indeed you have to be you need to be compliant with the requirement defined by MPoC standards.
Okay, and the second question is that with the SDK approach, does the app have to pass any certification for the app itself?
For the either you do the certification as part of the MPoC software itself, the app integrating into the overall software. But eventually, if the question is about does the app has to be certified on its own, no, it will be certified as part of the overall MPoC solutions.
Okay, thank you, John-Luc. Another question, which is about the verification of level 3 certification. Does it go the same way as it is being done in the POS?
Yes. So the level 3 certification is similar to the traditional POS, because of course SoftPOS is only contactless today. So there, some of the contact requirement on the traditional POS doesn't apply, but the whole certification level 3 testing process is exactly the same as for traditional POS.
Okay, and when developing a solution based on MineSec MPoC SDK, will it be possible to list our solution on Visa and MasterCard websites and any role?
So sorry, do you mind to repeat the question? I tried to just make sure I understand.
When developing our solution based on MineSec MPoC SDK, will it be possible to list our solution on Visa and MasterCard websites?
So normally, so the Visa Ready program and the MasterCard mobile payment program, MPoS program still exists, right? That doesn't change. So eventually, for you to be able to deploy your software solutions for the different scheme, you have to go through these certifications. These certifications include functional, so level 2, security, either until now tap to phone, tap on phone, or CPoC, now MPoC, and then level 3. So having MPoC certification is only part of the security certification only, right? But once you have the MPoC certifications with MineSec solution, Then you just need to do the level, the integration level 3 testing, and then register and be listed as a Visa solution and MasterCard solution as well.
Okay, the next question, if a merchant has a SoftPOS from a particular country, and since the SoftPOS can be used as a gateway, can the merchant use it overseas in case he has an event or something similar? It means to be used outside the country.
Okay, so from a technology point of view, on paper, you can take a mobile phone and go to different countries. From a regulation and payment point of view, the way it's regulated by the schemes. Normally, if your SoftPOS is registered in the country, you are not supposed to go to another country to use it to accept payments. So that's more something that probably you have to talk to the schemes to better understand the regulation between the different countries and how SoftPOS solution can be used.
Okay. If the MPoC software has been certified, do we need to certify the hardware as well?
So if you are certified MPoC, it means that you have a fully software-based solutions. The hardware should be standard commercially off-the-shelf hardware, right? So on which you download that applications. So there are some requirement on the standard for this minimum requirement of the codes in terms of the operating system version, these kind of things. Of course, support of NFC, but the hardware doesn't have any certifications.
Okay. As explained, if you use Mindsec. If a client is using a Mindsec SoftPOS solution, should comply with the domain 2 and 5 requirements. How can we know what the requirements are there? What are the requirements?
Yes, so in theory, of course, today's presentation, I didn't go to the detail of the requirements, but for sure, we can work with you because we know the requirement, or you can access to the PCI MPoC standards, then you can see the requirement. But for sure, when we're gonna work with you, we can help you to identify which part of the domain 2 and domain 3 requirements, domain 5 requirement apply to you, and then work with you on the preparing and making sure that the part that you're responsible with, you're ready for certifications.
Okay, the next question is, when will be the MPoC for Mindsec ready?
So our solution is being designed for MPoC ready. Of course, since the standard was released only end of last year, and even the program guide, and officially today, no, I haven't checked as of now, right? But until last week, there was no formally accredited MPoC labs. We are working with the labs to the preparation of our MPoC certification right now. So we believe that for the second half of this year, we will be certified as part of the different planning that has been set with the labs and the PCI. But we rely still on the PCI for the final planning and also the lab availability in terms of the planning as well.
Okay, thank you, John-Luc. The next question is where we can find the MPoC certification domains 1 to 5 requirements.
Normally, you can access on the PCI website. I think they should be downloadable. I mean, we are participating member of PCI, so we got it. To be honest, I haven't checked whether it's open for public, but I think it should be open for public. On the PCI website, yeah, you can get it.
Okay, John. The next is, does the solution need a presence of NAC network access controller?
So that's very technical and specific questions. I can check with the technical team internally, for that one. I think this NAC I think is more related to when we did on our side the PCI DSS. We look at that requirements. In MPoC, I need to double check with the technical team and get back to you.
Okay. The next is, does Mindsec solution cover the PCI recommendations regarding the pin on glass?
Yes. So PCI, of course, to be compliant with PCI MPoC standards. So pin on glass is basically having the pin acceptance on the COTS device. So we are already tap to phone certified as our solution. So it means that we accept contactless payment. We have a secure pin pad in our solutions. For MPoC, for sure, we will have the same. We will comply with the MPoC requirements.
Okay. We will be so thank you all for your questions, and apologize for not being able to answer all your questions. And the questions that were not answered, we will answer them as early as possible and share it with you by email. We will be taking, just want to remind you that we will be having like a survey that it's going to take you like 1 minute, and we hope that we can get your feedback. Also, we will be leaving an email where you can send us all your inquiries and your requests. And in case you have any question and you are not able to answer, to type it now, we can leave the email, and then you can send us your inquiries on this email. And that's all for today. Thank you everybody for joining us, and hope we will be seeing you very soon in the next time. And we apologize again for not being able to answer all your questions, and we wish you a good day ahead. Thank you very much.